flew over Fort Ruby in 1864.
This map is a territorial map.
When they created that document, they didn't realize that 150 years later somebody was going to be reading what they wrote. It's a really cool feeling, and it's fun to see the types of things that they talked about and what they wrote about at that time.
We have records that go back from the very early 1880s of the state climatologist who had an observatory right across from our building. How much snow was there on that day? He took temperature readings 3 times a day. Some of those muster rolls give descriptions, their height, their eye color. People who do family history want to know everything there is to know about that person.
Yeah, we are the guardians of Nevada history, and that's past, present, and future. Not only do we document the decisions, but we try and capture the moment in state government. A moment in time.
We are trying to make sure that by preserving records that we call have enduring value, historical, legal, physical records, that state government is accountable to the taxpayers.
We're maintaining pretty much the institutional memory of the state government.
Mining claims, that includes land sale records through the state land office.
We have people who work in state agencies where they need to look at something that their agency has done because they're updating their budget. This is the guest register for what was then called the Nevada State Orphans Home. And
I think it's important that my children's grandchildren will be able to come here and see the original Constitution and see some of the original handwritten volumes from the Supreme Court. Some of the items that are being set today and being done today are going to be just as important 50 and 100 years from now.
As long as those records are not within that schedule too, so you can...
That we can explain not only what the law is, but the reason behind the law and what is reasonable and what they should be following and the time period that they need to respond to the requesters on those records. So we want to make sure that they all have access to this information. Developers could go in there. It could be lawyers are asking for information. It could be just somebody, watchdogs, who are watching the activities of a certain agency.
During session, we get busier because our user agencies are busier. They're getting requests from legislators or from the Legislative Council Bureau for information that they may be storing with us.
The state records will go in and work with the agency, set up the retention schedule so that they know how long these records have to be retained and identify those records that have historic values. Or we work with the state archivist, we work with archives to make sure that those records are identified and transferred to the state archives for storing and future reference. Imaging and Preservation Services Department, where we'll set up systems where they can actively work on those records, have those records at their fingertips where multiple people have to access the same record and they can look at the same image. And so those are the records we want to focus our energies on.
As they request boxes be pulled, they'll sit on a shelf until the end of their retention period. And at that time, that's when we will feed them to Earl.
This is your government at work, and we want to make sure that the records that establish this government, establish the rights of this government, are being retained and are accessible.
Nevada Magazine, January-February 2017.
The State Library rests on 3 pillars: our vast collections, information resources, and research assistance; library service for Nevadans who are unable to read due to a temporary or a permanent condition; and through grant funding, coaching, and guidance Nevada state law insists that we advance all libraries.
We do have a program called Talking Books. Wonderful resource for people who have any kind of a disability that makes them unable to hold a book or unable to read.
Resort City in the Sun Belt.
They record Nevada history books and make them available to people not only in Nevada but across the United States.
I love the broad collection of microfilm of Nevada's newspapers and more. That will allow you to search the newspapers with keywords, email articles to yourself. Supporting public libraries is a statutory must for the state library and a privilege. We know how many people use things digitally versus physical objects. Libraries, librarians, information professionals understand how it's our job to create an environment where anybody can come in and level up their skills that are going to allow them to function in the 21st century. We guide grant programs to advance out-of-school education and help train the workforce.
With the MT1 certification, I was being considered for 2 different positions, so hopefully one of them will pan out and I'll be with Panasonic in the next couple of weeks.
I had 2 friends that got their MT1 and everything, and they're now working in ClickBond.
It's education, whatever that is. How to fix your car, how to learn to read, looking at virtual reality, looking at a 3D printer, learning how to write a resume.
La bibliotecaria usa una computadora. Con ella encuentra los libros.
My daughter now is so interested in books, she's already trying to jump ahead and read. She's actually wanting to start looking at what is our solar system, what are the planets, like what are stars.
I like Saturn because the rings.